This segment is brought to you by Virginia Natural Gas. Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. I'm super excited because it's holiday season, but instead of focusing on the main dish, today we're gonna work on a side dish. So let's get started. We are going to do a deconstructed version of the green bean casserole. Now we all have had that casserole, we loved it. It's got the mushroom sauce, the onions, you put it in the oven. But I got a little older, I thought, I kind of got to make these a little bit more mature. So we have got some beautiful green beans, and these are the French haricots verts, which are basically like a regular green bean, just a little bit longer, a little bit skinnier. And they come pre-washed, pre-trimmed. Save yourself the time, there is no shame in that. So got them in a big bowl. I'm gonna drizzle a little bit of olive oil over them. Now this is about maybe two tablespoons, not too much. You just wanna coat them because we're actually gonna roast these. And the cool thing about this green bean casserole is it's not really a casserole, it's kind of deconstructed. It's gonna be layered and really pretty and so delicious. So I've got a little bit of salt I'm gonna add on top of that. Now I've got my oven preheated at 350, and once these are all nice and coated, I'm gonna put them on a baking sheet and I'm gonna pop them into the oven for about 10 to 12 minutes. All right, those are nice and coated. And I've got my cookie sheet, and you can tell it's been well loved. It is clean, it's highly seasoned. I'm just gonna lay these out on there. You wanna kind of put them in one layer as much as possible. You don't wanna pile them up too much. That way they will all cook evenly. And this is 1 pound of green beans. It doesn't have to be these haricots verts. It can be just any kind of green beans will work. I would not use frozen or canned though, because those are already somewhat processed and it's gonna change the texture of those green beans. All right, let's lay these out. I'm gonna spread them out a little bit. I mean, if they overlap a little bit, it's not the end of the world. It's just better to do them in a single layer as much as possible. All right, I think we're good. We're gonna pop those in the oven now for about 10 to 12 minutes. Okay, so now we're gonna work on the mushroom sauce. It's more of a rich, creamy mushroom sauce as opposed to the soup that gets mixed in. And it's gonna be thick and it's gonna layer right on top of those beautiful roasted beans. So we are going to start with mincing some garlic. And I got my knife here. Garlic is such a pain to peel, but let me give you the trick. You can get your aggressions out if you've had a stressful day. Ooh, look at that, and it breaks it up and it makes it much, much easier to peel. All right, let's just give this a little mince. I think I'm gonna use about that much. Okay, I'm gonna slide that over there for a moment. And then we're going to get to work on our mushrooms. Let me just clear that off. There we go. And you can use any kind of mushrooms you want. The white button mushrooms are fine. I have some really beautiful cremini mushrooms that I found at the store. Now I've got about 12 to 14 ounces. It doesn't have to be exact. This is not like baking, so it's not that super science, but about 12 to 14 ounces. And look how beautiful they are. I've already washed them, I've already trimmed them, so now I'm just gonna chop them up. Okay. And I like to make sure when I'm cutting these, you wanna make a nice flat side to put down just for safety. Otherwise it can wobble and you can really kind of hurt yourself. Also make sure you have a very sharp knife, because surprisingly, a dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp knife in the kitchen. Okay, so I'm down to my last mushroom, but before I chop that one up, I wanna get my heat going. So I've got a nice big pot here, and let me turn the stove on. We're gonna start it on about a medium high. I don't know if you can see that. I love cooking with gas because it's like instant. You want it hot, you want it low, you can just get it right there right away. So I've got my pot there. I'm gonna add a little bit of fat to that. I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon of butter and 1 tablespoon of olive oil. It will definitely make a difference. And we're gonna let those melt down for a minute before I add my mushrooms. All right, there are a lot. Oh yeah, I love that sizzle. And these mushrooms are so beautiful. Let's stir these around. While they cook, they're gonna release a lot of liquid. So you're gonna cook them for a little bit because we do want some of that liquid just to go ahead and evaporate. I'm gonna lower that heat. And the great thing again about the gas is you can see right here's a perfect situation. You start out with a high, you need it with low, it automatically goes to that low. So I don't have to change burners or move the pan or anything or worry about burning anything. Now, as it's on low, that's when you're gonna see that liquid release from the mushrooms. So we're just gonna cook it for about maybe 2 to 3 minutes and try to get some of that out before we continue. So most of that liquid is evaporated. Now I'm gonna add my garlic and give that a little stir. Oh boy, it smells so good already. So So now we're gonna continue to add our ingredients, and we're gonna do basically like a roux. We're gonna add a little bit of flour to that. And the nice thing also about the way we're doing this is that it's gonna coat the mushrooms. It's gonna cook that raw kind of flour flavor off a little bit. But since it's getting all spread amongst the mushrooms, you're not gonna have any lumps when you put your liquid in. So the first thing I'm gonna add is a half a cup of chicken stock. Just gonna pour that right in there. And I'm gonna turn up the heat instantly, just like that, because that heat is gonna combine with the liquid and the flour to thicken up the sauce. Okay, so now I have half a cup of half and half. If you wanna get really decadent, you could just use heavy cream, but I'm gonna be eating a lot at this dinner, so I'm trying to be healthy where I can. Now for the grown-up part. I've got about a quarter cup of sherry here. I'm gonna pour that right in there. And I wanna pour that in while it's still cooking, because if it boils, it's gonna cook the alcohol off. So you're gonna get all of the flavor, but none of the alcohol. So it's very kid-friendly. So you can see it's starting to thicken when you move the spoon or the spatula through it, and you can see the bottom of the dish. If it was all just liquid, you would not see the bottom, but look at that. So it's starting to thicken up nicely. And now I'm gonna turn it off, because as it cools, the sauce is gonna get thick and rich, and it's gonna be so delicious. My green beans are done, so while this cools, I'm gonna pull those out of the oven and put them on a plate. Okay, so look at how beautiful those look. You can see a little bit of the char from the broiling, and that's gonna bring the sweetness up to the top of those vegetables. It's gonna a tiny bit of crunch, but they're gonna be nice and soft and tender on the inside. Now I'm gonna take this little ladle, and I'm gonna put some of this sauce on top. All right, I think that is probably enough. And to top it, we have our fried onions. Oh my gosh, look at how beautiful this is. Now tell me this is not a green bean casserole you would be so proud to show off for the holiday season. All right guys, I am gonna sink my teeth into this, but I will see you next time.